Tonight, they escaped the wildfires but returned to the chaos left behind. Evacuees take on the major mess in Manitoba.
The reality of it is that we are not out of the woods.
And dealing with displacement, the new reality when you don't have a home to go back to.
It's been some of the most stressful times of our entire life.
Tragedy in Texas, tracking down dozens of children swept away by floodwaters.
My heart breaks. It's broken for those families that have lost their loved ones.
Plus, the future of electric vehicles hits a roadblock.
Sales in Canada have collapsed.
Is Canada about to be left behind in the EV race? And a childhood dream comes true.
Here's a few reasons why I'd love to be the ice capture reporter.
No nerves for a teen taking on a new gig in Newfoundland.
Oh my goodness!
CTV National News with Heather Butts. Reporting tonight, Mirella Fernandez.
Good evening. Going home isn't always easy, especially when a wildfire came knocking at the door while you were away. Families in northern Manitoba have been allowed to return after fleeing those fires, but now they face the daunting and dismal task of trying to clean up, knowing very well they may have to leave again. CTV's Alex Carpa has that story tonight.
These are burnt pine needles. Noelle Drimmy found them all over her property when she returned back to her home in Flin Flon in northwestern Manitoba.
That was just sort of the reminder of how close this fire was.
Drimmy had been forced to stay away from her home for almost a month, only being allowed to return last week when evacuation orders were lifted. She says trying to recover and deal with what's happened since she was forced to flee has been a daunting task.
We threw out all our food in the fridge. You know, we had just done a big grocery shop right before the evacuation, so we had a lot of fuzzy fruits and vegetables in there.
Diane Campbell and her daughter Deavian, who are relieved to be back home, say their property looked like a jungle when they returned.
First, when we came in, it's like a deserted town. That's how it looked, like a deserted town that you would normally see on TV or something.
While those living in Flin Flon are getting back to some sort of normalcy, others in the province aren't as lucky. Residents living in Lynn Lake, which is 230 kilometers northeast of Flin Flon, they're under another mandatory evacuation order for the second time in less than 2 months. A new fire southwest of Lynn Lake is threatening the main power transmission line for the town, and if it's destroyed, that could cause a loss of power to the community for at least a month.
It's not a question of if it'll burn the line, it's just a question of when.
Evacuation efforts for the town's nearly 600 residents continued Saturday, with many now in Brandon. As for Drimmy, although she is safe now, she says the idea of potentially being forced to leave her home again is always at the back of her mind.
The reality of it is that we are not out of the woods. Summer has just started, and this is definitely our reality.
Drimmy says all she can do is pray that they don't have to leave again. Alex Carpa, CTV News, Winnipeg.
About 700 people in northern Saskatchewan are under a mandatory evacuation order, a wildfire forcing them out of the village of Beauval. Officials have blocked roads and say charter buses will take locals to Saskatoon, with traffic only allowed to exit the community. And in the U.S., the Madre fire in central California is still out of control and spreading. It's the largest wildfire burning in the state, raging just 2 hours north of Los Angeles. It's already burned more than 80,000 acres of land. Search crews in Texas are still working, trying to find those swept away by floodwaters north of San Antonio. At least 50 have been killed, and among the missing, a group of girls who are at a summer camp right beside a river that burst its banks. CTV's Rahim Ladani has the tragic details.
The search for survivors continues, with officials in the Texas Hill Country carefully looking for anyone stranded under downed trees or trapped under fallen debris, as more than 24 people are already confirmed dead after a summer flood.
We're not going to stop today or tomorrow. We will stop when the job is completed.
Youth camps and campgrounds line the hills along the Guadalupe River in central Texas, making it more difficult to know exactly how many people are still missing.
the place where all the survivors are brought. And we were hoping that we would hear our daughter and friends' names called, but they never did call. So we said, this morning we're going to come out and try to find them ourselves.
Nearly a foot of rain sent floodwaters spilling out of the river before dawn Friday. Water levels rose 8 meters in just 45 minutes, catching many residents and officials by surprise as roads, homes, and vehicles were washed away. The Texas Hill Country is prone to flash flooding, sitting 2 hours northwest of San Antonio. Authorities now coming under scrutiny over whether proper warnings were delivered and if enough preparations were made.
And we didn't know. We know we get rains. We know the river rises. But nobody saw this coming.
Authorities say at least 167 people have been rescued by helicopter. Others brought to safety after hanging onto hydro poles, while another 850 people have been evacuated. The region is a popular camping destination, especially during the 4th of July holiday. What should have been a big weekend for local businesses has turned into a community banding together to feed first responders.
We just had a couple show up and they were like, where do we need to go? What do we need to do? We didn't even get names, anything. They just showed up to help and started taking loads.
Additional flash flood emergencies have been issued in central Texas. It's an area that typically receives about 25 centimeters of rain over a period of 3 months. But the recent downpour saw 19 centimeters in just 3 hours' time. Raheem Ladani, CTV News, Toronto.
A heat wave is rolling across parts of Quebec and Ontario this weekend. We are seeing more record-breaking weather brought on by climate change, and some say it's time to start planning to build cooler cities. CTV's Kamal Karamali with what that looks like.
Let's go. Bomb. Yeah, nice.
Toronto's serving up a scorcher today.
It's like 40 degrees, with the sand is like 45 degrees.
One that you can't outrun.
I'm definitely getting sunburned. I'm only like halfway through my run.
Or hide from.
I could imagine it will be pretty hot.
A heat warning issued for southern Ontario and parts of Quebec for the weekend, with temperatures in the low 30s, and that is just the beginning.
We're seeing these heat waves, Camille, are coming. They're coming sooner. They're lasting longer.
Sparking up the heated debate on changing city structures and urban layouts to make them cooler.
We're starting to think about it a lot more than we used to.
4 years ago, a heat dome in BC caused more than 600 deaths. The coroner's review recommended long-term plans for cooler housing.
I do think BC and Vancouver in particular are moving in the right direction, and they've implemented many good strategies.
For the rest of Canada, it'll take a lot of changes to create cooler cities. For many, there needs to be more greenery, like gardens on rooftops, more trees for shade, and adding green spaces like parks. Cities will also have to change surfaces, creating light-colored or reflective roofs and pavement, and better urban planning, strategically managing building heights to allow natural airflow to move through the city and create less density. For this urban planning expert, cities are already far behind.
It should have happened yesterday.
Tree canopies creating shade already in place in some cities, while other solutions like making surfaces a lighter color could take years, while other solutions could even take decades to put into place.
If we are bold, then we can do it within the span of a decade, I think. If we're not, it might drag on for 30, 50 years.
Too late to beat the heat today, but there's hope making those changes will help the next generation stay at least a little cooler. Kamal Karamali, CTV News, Toronto.
Heat and humidity warnings are part of the new normal, and with that comes concerns about the quality of the air we breathe. Canadian officials have been looking at what it takes to trigger a warning about bad air and whether that needs to change. CTV's Jeremy Charon tonight with that decision.
Smoke-covered skies and haze-filled horizons have become a summer standard in many parts of the country. Frequent air quality warnings prompted by Canadian wildfires.
Certainly in the West, they've had some terrible times with the looking, the feeling, and the tasting of what summer is like.
Climate change is increasing wildfire risk and affecting all regions.
Addressing those air quality concerns was a key focus of a meeting this week by the Canadian Council of Ministers of the Environment.
Canadians want to be assured that they have clean air in their communities, and together as a group, we've been able to take action.
Federal, provincial, and territorial environment ministers together endorsed stronger air quality standards, agreeing to lower the threshold for fine particulate matter in the air required to trigger a statement or warning.
Strong science-based national standards help ensure we're prepared for these challenges and support long-term health and resilience.
The move, applauded by this respirologist, aims to protect communities from the impacts of poor air quality.
For people with chronic lung disease, every little bit of fine particulate air pollution they're breathing in is hastening their death.
While the new standard agreed on by ministers isn't legally binding, Dr. Sean Aaron believes stronger air quality standards could be a tool used to take further action.
If the air quality is consistently going above that threshold, then presumably what they can do is they can enact legislation to improve the air quality locally.
While improving air quality standards won't help stop wildfires or get rid of the smoke impacting air quality in parts of the country, experts say this move will help hold industrial polluters accountable. Jeremy Sherrill, CTV News, Ottawa.
Donning a cowboy hat once again for day 2 of the Calgary Stampede, Prime Minister Mark Carney showed off his flapjack making skills at a pancake breakfast event.
I was better in Ottawa. There you go. I'm going to do another one. I'm going to do another one. I'm practicing. I got a little cocky there.
Carney posed for photos and shook hands with people at the breakfast. He also ran into Alberta Premier Danielle Smith and joked around about his pancake flipping skills. They also spoke about her meeting with Ontario Premier Doug Ford next week to discuss trade. The shift to electric cars seems to be stalling, at least in North America. This past week, Canadian automakers pushed Ottawa to drop EV sales targets. But while we may be hitting the brakes, other parts of the world are speeding up. CTV's Colton Prail reports.
The drive to increase electric vehicle sales across North America is hitting a major bump in the road.
Sales in Canada have collapsed.
This week, automakers pushed Canada to scrap standards that would require 20% of new cars sold next year to be electric or hybrid. Right now, that number is just 9%. Meanwhile, Quebec is softening its EV sales requirements, now putting hybrid vehicles on par with full electric vehicles.
By allowing more credits for plug-in hybrids, yes, that's a positive step. It doesn't solve the problem.
It comes as the United States is slowing down on EVs. Donald Trump's newly signed Big Beautiful Bill ends tax credits for EV purchases and drops subsidies for battery companies. But as electrification slows in North America, around the world it's ramping up. Last year, 1 in every 5 cars sold globally was an EV, and sales jumped 35% in the first quarter of this year.
When the entire Canadian auto industry is producing somewhere around 1.5 million units, that's not enough to withstand a global marketplace that runs into the hundreds of millions per year.
China is the biggest exporter of electric vehicles and spends hundreds of billions of dollars to subsidize its industry. Currently, Canadian automakers are protected from Chinese competition by tariffs that roughly double the cost for Canadian buyers. But some argue those tariffs should be lower.
They're good cars, they're affordable cars, and bringing in that competition is going to make our domestic automotive manufacturers drive down costs as well.
The auto industry is calling for Canada to bolster the country's electric supply chain and better the chances of consumers buying Canadian.
We haven't invested in our strengths, which is all the critical minerals that go into batteries are here.
The Canadian government hasn't said whether or not it plans to drop the standard, which takes effect next year and would see all cars sold from 2035 on be hybrids or electrics. The auto industry says it will have to because they simply won't hit that target. Morella.
Thanks, Colton. Tesla founder Elon Musk taking a step back into politics. Musk announcing on his social media platform X today that he's forming a new U.S. political party, saying, "Today the America Party is formed to give you back your freedom." Musk had until recently been a key advisor to the American president. Dozens of mourners gathering today for the funeral of Liverpool star Diego Jota and his brother, Andre Silva. The service was held in their Portugal hometown in the same church where Jota was married only 13 days ago. The The player and his brother died in a car crash in Spain. And tributes are pouring in tonight for Australian actor Julian McMahon. He passed away in Florida Wednesday after battling cancer. McMahon was best known for his roles in Nip Tuck, Charmed, and the film Fantastic Four. He was only 56. Coming up, finding hope in tragedy.
It definitely is the light at the end of the tunnel. She is making everybody smile.
A Saskatchewan mom welcomes life after losing almost everything. You can only imagine the stress of losing your home in a wildfire just weeks before your due date. A Saskatchewan mother faced exactly that last month. CTV's Alison Bamford caught up with her and her family as they now adjust to a new community and a new home with a new baby.
Peaceful cooing in a quiet house that normally is anything but.
Usually at least one kid's crying at any given time.
It's nap time in this 4-bedroom Saskatoon rental, a temporary home for Brooke Kindle's family of 5, along with her parents, 3 dogs, and a cat. A month ago, their homes in Denair Beach, Saskatchewan, burned to the ground. They lost everything in the wildfire.
It's been some of the most stressful times of our entire life.
Adding to the stress, Kindle was 35 weeks pregnant at the time and already experiencing stress-induced contractions.
He's so sweet.
Now, less than a week old, her daughter Callie is the biggest distraction from the chaos.
It definitely is the light at the end of the tunnel. She is making everybody smile.
This Saskatoon neighborhood where Kindle is staying is a long drive from Denair Beach, about 6.5 hours. A trip she's waiting to take, at least until the baby's a little older. Many others returned to the community late last month with no homes to go back to. Local resorts are opening up their doors to house as many as they can.
People don't have anywhere to stay locally. Like, we already had a housing shortage within the 3 communities, and now there's an added stress to it.
You give her a kiss.
Back in Saskatoon, the Kindles are making the best out of their situation, adjusting to a new normal they never imagined 9 months ago.
Our life is not at all what we had initially planned.
But there's hope. In the next 9 months, they'll be back in their home community with a fresh start. Alison Bamford, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Still ahead, a sinister strawberry surprise. What's spoiling crops of a favorite summer fruit? Farmers are at the mercy of Mother Nature when it comes to growing crops, but strawberry growers in PEI have another threat to worry about, a disease that can infect every part of the plant, from root to fruit. CTV's Maria Saru reports tonight.
Strawberry fields at Compton's Farm Market in Summerside are usually thick and thriving this time of year, but some acres are looking sparse, with plants struggling to survive.
It's got infected with a new disease that we're struggling with a bit here this year called NEOP.
The official name is Neopestalotiopsis, a fungal disease that can be devastating. Owner Matthew Compton can still harvest part of his crop, but it brought down his total yield and profit by 25%.
Just cuts the gravy out. Usually these fields are the cleanest that we have, so typically their harvest is the best.
Outbreaks were first reported in Ontario in 2020 and since then detected in Quebec. One of the telltale signs is black or brown spots with tan centers on the leaves.
This plant normally on most years would basically be circled with new strawberry plants. When we pull the crown up and we pull this plant up, we're checking to make sure that it's nice and cream color inside.
The disease spreads fast through strawberry plants and can be costly. Another farmer told me that NEOP forced him to take several fields out of production, resulting in $75,000 in damages.
And 1 hour away, farmer Greg McKenzie is watching some of his plants wither.
This one's struggling. It may or may not make it. The next 2 are not going to make it.
He tripled his seeding this year just to be safe.
Just the potential of, will we have enough for our customers? We knew it had a problem, and going forward, we kind of overcompensated maybe a little bit.
There is no cure, but PEI's Agriculture Ministry says some fungicides can reduce the spread. The fruit is still safe to eat. And back at Compton's,
No better breakfast.
more than 25 strawberry varieties are growing in hopes of many more healthy harvests. Maria Sru, CTV News, Summerside.
Still ahead, a dream come true. Under 18, but ready to be in the broadcast booth for a junior hockey league. Most young hockey fans dream about playing for the NHL, maybe one day scoring the overtime goal to win the Stanley Cup. But one young man had a different hockey dream. CTV's Garrett Barry has his story tonight.
I'm 8 years old, and here's a few reasons why I love to be the Ice Caps junior reporter.
He's grown up a bit, but one thing Seth Hydes hasn't lost is his love of hockey.
It started right here with this hockey stick and this pair of gloves.
And I'd be commentating imaginary games. I'd be the Leafs or I'd be the Penguins.
Come September, he'll be stepping into the arena and inside the broadcast booth as the play-by-play voice for the Newfoundland Regiment, the newest team in the top-flight Quebec Maritimes Junior Hockey League.
To win it all, he scores!
With Mom's theater background and Dad's camera operation, Seth has actually been calling minor and junior hockey games since he was just 12 years old.
Oh my goodness!
He had that opportunity to go call a game. It started there. And Steve Power called me within 5 minutes and he said, Jackie, he can do all the playoffs.
Now 17, he's about to face his biggest stage yet.
So just imagine the feeling when hockey returns here with highly skilled players and 6,200 screaming perhaps fans. For a play-by-play announcer, this is like getting called up to the big leagues.
Mom is nervous, but Seth playing it cool.
All the proud fans, the players on the ice, the talent on the ice. I mean, it's going to be amazing, and I'm so honored to be able to call such high-level hockey.
His energy infectious.
I'm so excited. I almost feel like getting my first puppy dog or my first bicycle.
Veteran announcer and now colleague Brian Rogers can't help but love the story.
And I remember Seth being so excited, such a handsome little, bright-eyed little guy, you know, sweet, great smile. It warmed my heart because there's not many that want to do what we do.
And it's a bit fitting that this junior hockey team is taking on what they believe to be the youngest play-by-play announcer in league history. Seth will finish high school next year, sharing classrooms with some of those same players on the team. Garrett Barry, CTV News, St. John's.
That's a wrap of the day. Thanks for sharing your time with us. Good night. We'll see you again tomorrow.